Millions of dollars are spent every year trying to protect forests around the world by creating nature reserves and restricting people's access, even people who live there. This typically not only fails to protect forest, but also harms local communities, often indigenous peoples, who live in and depend on nature for their livelihoods and cultural identities. The need to balance conservation with social benefits for local communities has led many environmentalists to become interested in sacred forests. Sacred forests are forests protected for religious reasons, and they are found in cultures all over the world. However, conservationists tend to think that protecting sacred forests means protecting cultures from change, which usually means environmentalists and governments forcing indigenous communities to live certain ways in the name of conservation without giving them any say. I want to understand when, how, or if community goals and conservation goals can be aligned for protecting sacred forests. And I study this tension in a very cool place called Xisongbana in southwest China. This place contains the world's northernmost tropical rainforest and one of the world's highest concentrations of biodiversity. Here we can see one of the sacred forests that I study silhouetted behind an indigenous Dai village. Xisongbana's forests are rapidly being decimated and converted to rubber monoculture. And you can see how sacred forests are islands of threatened lowland rainforest rising up above the sea of rubber. I spent 13 months living in Dai communities, and I found that communities are adapting their sacred forests in new economic and political contexts. For example, one sacred forest was completely destroyed during the Cultural Revolution in the 1970s, but after new political freedoms in the 80s, the community reconsecrated their patch of land and let the forest grow back. With all the emphasis in conservation on preserving forest, what is so amazing here is that after a forest is destroyed, it can be resurrected through a community's connection with the sacred. These are modern people living a modern lifestyle who are reconnecting to a spiritual heritage that aligns with conservation values without environmentalists and governments telling them what to do. Another community recently leased their sacred forest for ecotourism. And this illustrates a community engaging their traditions in a modern economy and trying to make their sacred forest part of their economic well-being as well as spiritual well-being. Overall, my findings emphasize how these dominant conservation understandings that people and nature need to be unchanging to be protected are wrong, because conservation can manifest in new and surprising ways. A nuanced and dynamic understanding of people-nature relationships is crucial to inform effective conservation policy that improves biodiversity and local agency to support cultural self-determination, which is a struggle in conservation projects worldwide. Thank you.